Over the past decade or more, a trend in the gaming industry is selling real estate to real estate investment trusts. Sometimes companies control their REITs like MGM Resorts does with MGM Growth Properties, and Caesars Entertainment does with VV Properties, or sometimes the real estate is sold to a third-party company. The benefit is that selling to a REIT frees up billions of dollars of cash for the casino companies. That money can be used to reduce debt or fund growth projects. In the end, it really doesn't change the operations of the resort. However, Wynn Resorts has continued to hold most of its real estate. If Wynn did sell the real estate, it could free up billions of dollars of cash. And that could be a win for Yvonne. So let's take a look. So why would Wynn Resorts want to consider selling some of its real estate? The main reason is that the company's debt load has grown to nearly $10 billion. Selling real estate would bring a big infusion of cash, which could be used to significantly reduce debt. Even with the benefit of reducing debt, Wynn Resorts hasn't done this yet. With the Las Vegas hotels, a convention center being built in Las Vegas, and the upcoming Encore Boston Harbor, it's likely that Wynn Resorts has from $5 billion to $10 billion of real estate assets it could sell to a REIT. However, Wynn Resorts is likely holding onto those assets on the balance sheet because it wants direct control of the properties. Even though REITs and gaming companies often work together, if decisions need to be made, there's an extra layer of control to get through. For now, Wynn Resorts can do what it feels is best for its properties without any of the extra hassle. Steve Wynn values that control, and for now, the management team does as well. However, when analyzing a stock like Wynn Resorts, it's important to consider the assets underlying the business in addition to the business itself. The company controls valuable real estate in Las Vegas and Boston that could eventually be monetized to increase shareholder value. That's a valuable card to hold given the volatility of the stock market in the recent past. So keep that in mind when you're analyzing Wynn Resorts. So let's take a look at the long-term chart for Wynn Resorts. We're looking at the 20-year monthly chart on Wynn Resorts Limited, and the symbol is WYNN. The current price, 117.36. Looks like we had a bottom here at this point. It bounced up to this point here, but it looks like it may be doing a bit of a correction. I'm kind of wondering if we're going to have a retest of this low here. I'm not quite sure about that, but we'll look at that here in a moment. Looking at the MACD, one of the things I like about Wynn Resorts is this is a fairly predictable pattern. This movement up and down gives it a much easier way to perhaps predict what's going to be coming up in the future. Right now, I think the fast line under zero is weakening. It may continue on down here a little bit further before it bases. Looks like the slow line is going to move below that zero line as well. We see the same thing here in the histogram, and moving down here to the price rate of change, a couple of things pop out. First of all, it is attempting to bottom here with that sawtooth there, but I think we're going to get another sawtooth there. Now that characteristic is somewhat similar to what happened in the previous low here. In 2015, we had a sawtooth there and a sawtooth there. Now, if you go back to 2012, same thing. Sawtooth there and another one there before it recovered. Back in 2009, that was a pretty sharp V recovery. So I would just look at the recent past and expect something similar to happen here before it actually bases and bottoms. Moving here into the RSI, it's moved below 50, so it's relatively weak, but we do see that the bottoming process is ongoing. We've got that low there, and we've got this hitch here. Just like we've got this low, and we've actually got two hitches on that one. Now this low here had a few more hitches, 1, 2, and 3. But even if you go back to 2009 with that V recovery, we still had the bottom and then we had that hitch. So I think we're getting at least a hitch. I don't think it is going to come all the way down and retest this low here, but still pay attention to that. Here into the stochastics, much the same. We had a little bit of a bottom here, an attempt to move up through the slow line, but I think that's going to get reflected down, much like it did here. And you can even say somewhat here with that move at that point getting reflected down here. And even in 2009, we had these attempts there at a recovery, but didn't quite make it, and it had to go all the way down to this level before it bottomed. Moving into the volume looks fine. You can see those volumes spiking during these descents, these levels here. Volume spikes at those points in time, fairly consistent. And here into the Williams, a lot of sawtoothing down at these bottoms here. We've seen that several times over the past several declines, and I don't think this is going to be any different. But it looks like the bottoming process has begun. Just is a matter of how far this hitch comes back down here. Again, I don't think it's going to come all the way down to that level there. So keep an eye on it. But in my opinion, Wynn Resorts is attempting to bottom. So just pay attention to this. I think it's going to take a few months more before we can see whether or not it's actually going to be able to hold. But in the meantime, that is something to watch, especially for Yvonne. So good luck on that one, Yvonne. And for the rest of you, for today, that's ChewDog Charts. Thank you.